brought to you by ExpressCare Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Welcome back. Did you know that you can hurt your voice? Our next topic may sound like a hot new band, but it's not. That's right, we're talking about vocal fry and hoarseness. And joining me now is ExpressCare's Dr. Jitka Lom. Welcome, Doc. Hi. Okay, thanks. So let's talk about the voice. How does our voice work?
We have three components to creating our voice, and everybody's voice is unique. First, we have our lungs, which generate the air that moves through up into our larynx, which is known as the voice box, right? It's the larynx, and man, you can see it, it's the Adam's apple. And inside there we have the vocal cords, which are two tiny little bands that vibrate together like that. And when we make low-pitched sounds, they vibrate slowly. With high-pitched sounds, they go really very quickly. And then, but if you just have those two vocal cords buzzing, nothing will happen. You won't hear anything. The voice has to resonate through the cavities of the mouth, the nose, the sinuses. All that helps amplify the sound. So we begin with the vocal cords buzzing, and then the rest of the head makes that voice sound very big. So the ways that you can make your voice sound bigger is create more air. If you're a big man, of course, you have a bigger larynx, and then to clear your sinuses and use the cavities of your face to amplify your voice.
Now, it's so funny you mentioned that sometimes there's no sound coming out.
Right,
whispering. Or
whispering.
If you notice young children,
right,
when they're crying, like
yes,
hysterically, sometimes they do the silent cry, where it's just like,
yeah,
you know.
So the silent cry, so the vocal cords at that moment are not vibrating, because there's so much tension, they're so upset that they've stopped the vocal cords from vibrating. And when we whisper, what we're doing is we're cutting off the vibration, the ability to vibrate it through our face and through our skull. So we're using only the vocal cords, very soft little sound.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
So why do voices sound so different?
So different. Well, based on the amount of flow you've got going, the size of your larynx, the way that you vibrate your vocal cords, which is dependent on all the muscles that control that, and then the condition of your sinus and your face, meaning are you congested, you'll sound very nasal, all of that. So everybody has a unique voice, and that's why it's so very difficult to imitate, somebody else's voice.
Oh yeah, and I think as reporters we have several different voices. We have our regular talking voice, then we have our reporting voice, then we have our phone voice.
Then there's the mom voice.
And then we have the mom voice, and that's the most important voice of all. Yes. But let's talk more about voices in boys.
Yes.
Why do boys, during puberty, their voice change?
Right.
Changes.
So boys and girls, when they're under the age of 10, let's say, are pretty much the same size and shape as in their neck. But as they get older, the boys start to mature. Now their larynx gets bigger and their vocal cords lengthen, and so their voice will become deeper, their lungs become bigger. So as they go through that phase, there's just basically an enlargement of this whole area, and that's why their voice will drop down and they'll crack a little bit as they're adjusting to all those changes, as their muscles are getting stronger in their larynx, and then they will end up with a fully mature voice actually in their early 20s.
Okay, now let's talk about hoarseness.
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay, so hoarseness occurs when those vocal cords are not vibrating in a beautifully nice symmetrical way. There's turbulence in the way that the air flows through those vocal cords, and they're not vibrating as well as they usually do. And this can happen because of some swelling. Usually it happens because of what we call postnasal drip. When you have a cold, your nose drips out the front, but when you lie down, it also drips down the back. And it will irritate those vocal cords, and they'll become a little bit swollen. Another thing that can happen is if you have heartburn or acid reflux, it can actually travel all the way up to your vocal cords, at which point they kind of get burned, and they will be you'll sound hoarse. Smoking damages your vocal cords, and so that's why smokers will often sound hoarse. And people who yell a lot, those moms, soccer moms, yes, may end up being a little hoarse as well.
Yes, definitely. Now let's talk about vocal fry. What is vocal fry? I've never heard of it.
This vocal fry is a speech trend that is kind of catching on because of people like Kim Kardashian and Britney Spears. And the trend is to speak in an unusual way, where women will drop their pitch at the end of their sentence. I can't do it, but you'll create like a vibration at the end and a buzzing noise at the end. And this is a trend. Women or young women or girls in the States are trying to do this, imitate, but you actually can permanently hurt your vocal cords by doing that. Plus, there are studies that show that it affects how people perceive you as far as, employability and so on. So probably avoid trying to imitate other people's voices. Keep your own beautiful voice.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about laryngeal cancer.
Laryngeal cancer, right. So the larynx, that's our voice box, again, the Adam's apple for the men. And you can get cancer in that area, right on the vocal cords, and then of course that has to be removed and you end up with that tracheostomy hole, which is the hole right here. Number one cause of laryngeal cancer is cigarette smoking, so definitely a good reason to quit.
Okay, now how can we prevent this type of cancer?
Again, do not smoke, don't inhale secondhand smoke, and prevent infections, meaning wash your hands and try to avoid getting recurrent sinus infections, which can also contribute to this problem.
All right, thank you so much,
You're
Doc.
welcome.
All right, coming up, Dr. Lom answers some of our viewers' questions, so stay tuned.